All right, today we're digging into one of history's greatest vanishing acts. We're talking about a civilization that built these absolutely incredible cities and then just disappeared, leaving behind a secret that stayed buried for nearly 4,000 years.
I mean, really, just think about that for a second. A culture that was every bit as sophisticated as ancient Egypt, with these huge, sprawling cities and advanced tech, just gone. It's like they were wiped from history so completely that for thousands of years, nobody even knew they existed.
And for centuries, that's exactly how it was. Then, only about 100 years ago, archaeologists working out in the Indus River Valley started digging up something, well, something extraordinary. We're not talking about small villages, but the ruins of enormous, perfectly planned cities that completely flipped everything historians thought they knew about ancient India on its head. Okay, so let's dive into this. This is the story of the discovery of what we now call the Indus Valley Civilization, or the Harappans culture, named after Harappa, which was one of its biggest cities. You have to understand, this was a total game changer. All of a sudden, India had this ancient past that was right up there with the other great cradles of civilization. It proved that long before the Aryan people we read about in the ancient Vedic texts, this other, completely different group had built a massive and incredibly developed urban world. So who were these people? What was their world actually like? Well, as archaeologists uncovered more and more, they started to notice one defining characteristic that just screamed out from all their cities. And I am not exaggerating here. The Harappan culture was built on this foundation of meticulous planning, incredible uniformity, and a level of control that is just staggering for the ancient world. They were organized on a truly massive scale. So what you're looking at here tells you so much about their priorities. This is the inside of a house that's over 4,000 years old. See how practical and unadorned it is? But the truly revolutionary feature? A lot of these homes had their own private bathrooms, with drains that connected to a citywide covered sewer system. Incredible.
And this really shows you the bigger picture. Their cities were laid out on a perfect grid, kind of like a modern American city. They used standardized bricks, the exact same size and shape, across a territory that stretched for almost 1,000 miles. I mean, this doesn't just happen by accident. It points to a powerful, centralized government that cared more about precision and public works than anything else.
And just so we're clear, their engineering was absolutely revolutionary. No one else, not in Egypt, not in Mesopotamia, had a sanitation system this good. You literally have to jump forward a couple thousand years to the Roman Empire to find anything that even comes close. It's just wild.
But, life wasn't all just about straight lines and plumbing. At the very heart of their biggest cities, you find these massive public buildings, like the Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro, probably used for religious rituals. They worshipped fertility goddesses, they farmed cotton, which was a world first, and they traded goods as far away as Mesopotamia. This was a complex, bustling, thriving society.
But they left us one enormous, frustrating mystery. This is the Indus script. We find it on thousands of these tiny little stone seals. We have over 2,000 examples of their writing, but we can't read a single word. It's one of the last great undeciphered codes of the ancient world. So their thoughts, their stories, their whole history, it's all locked away, silent.
And that silence, it gets even louder when we look at what happened next. After flourishing for centuries, this incredibly orderly civilization just starts to fall apart.
You can literally see it in the dirt. The archaeological record is so clear. That meticulous city grid starts to break down. People start building houses out into the public roads. These grand family homes get crudely chopped up into tiny, cramped apartments. The quality of their pottery and tools just plummets. You see all the signs of overcrowding, social stress, and then, in the final layers, evidence of violence. The order was completely replaced by chaos. So what on earth could cause such a total collapse? Was it invasion? Climate change? A plague? We just don't know for sure. But as the lights went out on the great Indus cities, a totally new group of people was about to enter the stage of Indian history.
And so we pivot. We're shifting from the silent ruins of the Harappans to a new group who left behind something completely different. Not cities, but words. We're talking about the Āryans. And wow, the contrast could not be more dramatic. I mean, just look at this.
Where the Harappans were city dwellers, totally obsessed with order and building things, the Āryans were nomads, moving around with their herds. They didn't build cities, they didn't even write things down. The Harappans worshipped a mother goddess. The Āryans worshipped these aggressive male sky gods. We're talking about polar opposites. So if they didn't build cities, how do we know anything about them? Well, the answer is the Rig Veda. Now, this isn't a history book. It's a collection of over 1,000 religious hymns. And for centuries, these incredibly complex poems were memorized and passed down word for word from one generation to the next before they were ever written down. It is our only real window into their world.
And what a world it was. Just listen to the energy in that quote. It's all about speed and glory and warfare and the animals they loved most, cattle and especially their horses. Their hymns are just bursting with these vivid descriptions of chariot battles and songs of praise for their warrior gods. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. You can see how these two periods just line right up. The Harappan civilization is in decline right around the time that the Aryan culture, the one that created the Rig Veda, starts to pop up on the subcontinent. The end of one world coincides almost perfectly with the dawn of the next.
So what we have here are two ancient foundational cultures, one that we can see in the ground but can't hear, and one that we can hear in their poetry but can't really see. So what did each of them leave behind? The Harappans left behind a legacy of physical innovation. We're talking about revolutionary ideas in city planning and sanitation. They gave the world cultivated cotton. They domesticated key animals like the water buffalo. Their contribution is practical, it's tangible, a deep, ancient blueprint for the cities and farms that would come later.
The Aryan legacy, on the other hand, was all about ideas. It was cultural and ideological. They brought the Sanskrit language, the foundational texts and gods that would eventually grow into Hinduism, a new kind of social structure, and this rich, incredible tradition of philosophy and epic poetry that would go on to define the subcontinent for thousands of years.
So in the end, you have modern India, built on the foundations of these two almost completely opposite ancient worlds, the quiet, orderly city builder and the loud, poetic warrior. And that leaves us with one last big question. How do you see the echoes of these two very different legacies, one of silent order, the other of vocal dynamism, still playing out in the culture of the subcontinent today?